Do you like teenage girls?
When you say teenage, how old are we talking?
Girls who are teenagers.
Rolex on your wrist, thePLAINESTjane.
For someone to come home with me, all you have to do is be quit playing. I didn't do this stuff. But just use your common sense. This is not me. I'm fighting for my life. Y'all killing me with this. This is not about music.
All right, we are back. It's your girl Jane, the plainest Jane. And listen, y'all know how I give it up over here. I provide y'all syrup in the form of Black news and celebrity entertainment. And I have some R. Kelly information, some breaking updates regarding his legal status. Is it regarding his freedom? Listen, I got a lot to break down. I see a lot of misinformation going around. I see a lot of the Beehive members, who I call the R. Kelly fans, who are extremely misinformed about what is and what isn't going on in this situation. So listen, get in here, hit the thumbs up button, make sure that you share this video on your social media, whether it be Twitter, Instagram, your group chats, Facebook, however it is that you share videos, make sure you pay your way. Y'all know when I come to talk about pretty much anything, but especially when I'm talking about R. Kelly, I do my research before I go live. I have no business being live at 1 o'clock in the morning. I got to be to work around 8:30-ish. Okay. But we going back to the old days of when I used to cover the trial, when I used to come live around about this time, when I had all of my ducks in a row and I was able to not only explain things, but break it down in layman's terms, because legal jargon confuses a lot of people. So listen, everybody, you know, things are always sticky in Hollywood in real life. Come over here, get the syrup with your girl, hit the thumbs up button. If you don't want to hit the thumbs up button and you want to donate to the channel another way, you can hit up the Cash App. It's right here on the screen. You can send $3, $5, $10, whatever you feel is appropriate. Okay. Otherwise, if you want to donate for free, make sure that you hit the like button. So let's get right into it. I'm not wasting no time. Okay. Now, 4 years ago, Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx announced that she would be charging Robert, aka R. Kelly, Robert Sylvester Kelly, for 10 counts of aggravated criminal S-word abuse. Okay. Now, this spanned across 4 victims. 3 were minors. 1 of them were male. And these charges are set to be dismissed in court, I would say tomorrow, but I'll just say Tuesday because it's 1 o'clock over here in Baltimore. Okay. Now, by the very same state's attorney. Now, I want to get into exactly why. And baby, I got receipts. I got text message. I have improper conduct between different legal defenses. I'm going to break down exactly what, because it's not as simple as we were trying to save money and the federal charges were heavy enough. I don't really think it's that simple. I'm going to tell you exactly what I think is going on here, why the charges are being dropped, who else this state's attorney has oddly been connected to, how long this has been in the works, the idea to drop or dismiss Robert's charges in the state's case of Chicago, Illinois. Okay. What an attorney who represented 6 of R. Kelly's other victims has to do with this situation, how this affects Robert's other trials, if I think he'll walk free. And then I also want to take a look at the press conference with you to see what you all think about this situation. As y'all, I know you're not picking at that chair. As y'all can see, I got my co-host with me, halfway acting right, halfway not acting right. Let me go ahead and pay him and get him off the top of my chair, because baby, come on, you want a treat? We're going to go ahead and y'all make sure y'all hit thumbs up. If y'all don't do it for me, do it for the cat. Hit thumbs up for Leo if y'all don't hit thumbs up for me. Okay? We're going to get right here into it. This ain't going to be no long intro at all. This going to be your last one, so savor the flavor, okay? So make sure you savor the flavor. Make sure so the people can see you in the thing. Make sure the people can the people, okay. All right. Sometimes I like to mess with him. I just want to know if his coordination is where it needs to be. All right, get down, buddy. Get down. Get down. From the thing. Get down. Thank you, Leo. Y'all see Big Drip with his gold chain on today? He gonna have a silver chain on tomorrow. Hit thumbs up. Shout out to everybody in the live chat. Shout out to my channel members. Shout out to my moderators. I know it's 1:15 in the morning over here in Baltimore. Shout out to everybody in Baltimore in the chat. Shout out to everybody in the chat in general. And listen, y'all, let's really get ready for takeoff. Shall we?
The plainest Jane. This is one of my favorite comments here. She says, I loves me some black, and she said, loves me some black news. She says, is it just me, or does anyone else get tired of seeing people that don't look like them delivering info about them day in and day out?
All right. Shout out to all of my new subscribers. I see there are a lot of familiar faces that I've missed. Universal Tea with Marie. I've missed you so much. Where you been? Thank you for coming through. Blue Lagoon Tune, thank you for coming through. Listen, shout out to all of y'all. Of course, before I get into breaking down today's topics and viral events, y'all know I always recommend you checking on your mental health first. You ain't got no business being nosy, dibbling and dabbling into celebrity stuff unless you've handled your own invisible issues and what's happening in your real world, in your real life. So check on your mental health. And of course, before I get into breaking down today's topics and viral events, make sure you subscribe and thumbs up or down. Either way, I appreciate it. But don't forget to think critically and independently, regardless of what you hear from me or anybody else. So let me start off with this. I know a lot of you all, I really do get the most traction when I talk about Robert because I've done such a good job covering Robert. And I didn't know I did such a good job until all of y'all told me and I've seen all the traction. But I like to be actual and factual when I'm talking about court proceedings, especially as they pertain to pedophiles. Okay. So when we get to talking about the 30-year sentence that he was handed down, because a lot of his fans think he's going to walk free. Pump your brakes. I'm going to break down why he more than likely ain't going to walk free. Matter of fact, I'm 95% sure he's not going to walk free. Let's take a stroll back to when I covered the New York trial. He got a 30-year sentence, okay? And he was deemed to serve that sentence concurrently. Instead of serving each sentence one after the other, a concurrent sentence allows him to serve all of the sentences at the same time, where the longest period of time is controlling the whole situation, if that makes sense. You've got consecutive sentences and you've got concurrent sentences, two totally different things. Okay, so let's get into it. We're going to start breaking this down as we talk about Robert and all the charges being dropped in Chicago. Like, what's going on with that? And before we even keep going, we got 77 thumbs up and there are 170 people here. There are at least 100 of y'all who ain't hit the thumbs up button. The math ain't mathing. Hit the button for me at the very least. Okay, if you aren't able to send, a couple of dollars on the Cash App, just hit thumbs up. Okay, let's get started. We have to start with this situation. To be completely honest with you, we've got to start by talking about, Atmos is here. Atmos, I would love for you to come up, but I know you're tired, so I'm not going to pressure you because, I was waiting for your live to end to even start this. We got to start this with Jussie Smollett, right? What did Dave Chappelle call him? Juicy Smollett. We got to start with Jussie Smollett. I'm not surprised that Kim Foxx dropped these charges. I do feel like Kim Foxx got a little ahead of herself with being the first person 4 years ago, February 2019, speaking out and declaring that she was pressing charges against Robert. Right off, fresh off of the heels of the first surviving R. Kelly, right? Which reignited the scrutiny that R. Kelly had been facing, right? Jussie Smollett, and follow me, because you got to understand where Jussie Smollett comes into place. And then we're going to get into the text messages, right? So Jussie Smollett, we all know, right? We all know that Jussie lied about and faked a hate crime, right? With shoelaces from the dollar store. Did y'all see how thin the noose was? Lied about a hate crime, lied to all of America and everybody else. And he got off after a terrible PR campaign along with terrible acting, which is interesting because he's an actor. And he also said he was the gay Tupac. Y'all remember that, right? All of that was a lie. Not only are you not the gay Tupac, but none of that stuff happened to you. And we all realized that that was a lie. He was set to serve some time. But guess who got him off? So we're talking about Kim Foxx, who just recently dropped these charges pertaining to Robert. Okay. This person says, all charges will be dropped. Wait and see. I'm still going to believe it when God says yes, the deal is sealed and done. No one can change. Oh, keep God and Jesus out of your hopes of getting Robert out of jail. Because, baby, it ain't. The math not mathing. You putting God and a pedophile being released and not serving his time. The math not mathing. But thank you for coming through, baby. And I know you're going to hit thumbs down because you don't agree with me. And that's okay. Thank you for the engagement. Nonetheless, Kim Foxx is responsible for helping Jussie Smollett get off. Okay. This is what she does. This is what she does. Chicago natives do what Chicago natives do. Okay. So we've got Jussie Smollett out the way. Now we need to move into Michael Avenatti. This is who we need to move into next. And again, I'm going through, and I appreciate y'all hitting thumbs up. I know most of y'all have, right? And some of y'all still need to do it. We're going into Michael Avenatti. Hey, thanks for letting me keep you connected and in the know with what's happening in the Black world. Don't forget to smash on that like button for support and for more Black news. So as we go into Michael Avenatti, as we can see here on the screen, Michael Avenatti, he represented 6 of Robert's victims, right? 2 alleged victims, 2 whistleblowers, and 2 parents of the alleged victims. The clients are connected to R. Kelly's arrest that was around about 2019, in which he was indicted on 10 cases of aggravated S-word abuse, okay? And so this is how he comes into play. Now, he was the one who presented the illicit VHS tape with Robert being intimate with a minor. And this was a tape that was 45 minutes long. This was a 45-minute long tape. So needless to say, with him having intimate relations with a child who was underage, there were multiple S-word assaults caught on tape, on video, right? And he was the one who presented this. Stay with me. So he presented this VHS to the court, and there were either questions or suspicions about the chain of custody. Was he corrupt? Was he doing backdoor deals? Well, I'm going to go ahead and let you know right now. He's currently in jail serving a 14-year sentence. This is somebody who was representing 6 of R. Kelly's alleged victims. And so I just want y'all to understand that most of y'all know my stance. 95% of y'all know my stance. But I'm gonna present both sides regardless. Either way. This doesn't look good. Okay? That he represented 6 victims and he's now serving a 14-year sentence because he's not an honest man. Michael Avenatti has been sentenced to 14 years in prison for stealing millions of dollars from his clients. When we talk about his charges and what he has been incarcerated for, what he's been caught doing that's illegal: embezzlement, extortion, tax fraud, stealing millions of dollars from his clients, obstruction. The list, honestly, it goes on and on. Let me tell you something. Go ahead and take a screenshot of this screen, if you will, because I'm not finna read it all. I'm finna give you a summary because there's too much we need to get into, and I'm considering opening the phone lines. But here's what I'll summarize this and say. Like I said, take a screenshot, Go ahead and read it if you will. The article is also still available on CNN as well if you want to search for it independently. Now, because this is such a dirty attorney, this is a dirty attorney. The judge ordered him, again, embezzlement, extortion, tax fraud, stealing millions of dollars from his clients, obstruction. He doesn't do things the right way. And I'm going to tell you how he feeds into this story, in this situation, in this scenario. The judge ordered him to pay $11 million in restitution for embezzling money from 4 of his clients. In addition to the $11 million, which nobody in jail was ever really going to be able to pay. I mean, unless his bank account is really popping. I don't know. He stole so much money. We don't know. The judge also ordered that this former attorney, right, that he would pay $10 million in restitution to the IRS for obstruction, because again, he committed tax fraud. Are y'all following me in the chat? Put a 1 if you follow me in the chat. Put a 3 if you're not following me in the chat. Yes, I just went from 1 to 3, and yes, I do. Put a 1 if you're following me. Put a 3 if you're not, because I'll slow it down and explain it more. But I'm hoping y'all understand where I'm coming from. Hurry up. Put your 1 in the chat if you're following what I'm saying. Put a 3 in the chat if you have no clue what the hell I'm talking about. Because I'm telling a story that involves a few. Anytime you're talking about R. Kelly, let me just let you know, you're talking about a whole web of situations and events and different characters. And so you've got to be prepared to take in a lot. It's never cut and dry and black and white and simple, and as simple as reading an article when you're talking about Robert. Never. Okay, so I see all 1s. I don't even see 1, 3. Cool. So I won't go back and I won't re-explain anything because it seems everybody's getting it. Cool. There's 1, 3 in the chat. Okay, if the 1, 3, if you let me know what you don't understand, and I'll go back and I'll break it down. Because I understand legal jargon can be very difficult. Don't get me wrong. Okay, I see 2 3s. Legal jargon can be very difficult. Please articulate exactly what you're not understanding, and I will go back and I'll explain it. I tell people all the time, don't think just because I have an extensive vocabulary that there are some things that I don't understand, because I'll tell somebody, listen, explain it to me like I'm 2. Explain it to me like I'm in the 2nd grade, okay? I say that quite frequently. Legal jargon can be difficult, but I'm going to keep going until I get some of the 3s to help me understand exactly what they don't understand. All right. Moving forward, here's where things get pretty tangled. Okay. So Michael Avenatti and the Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx, they collide in a questionable way. And it leads me to believe, me personally, it leads me to believe that this was a major part of the reason why Kim Foxx cannot move forward with the state charges in Illinois. And again, I'm going to show you the text messages that I was able to recover. I'm going to show you the text messages, okay, that I was able to recover through an open records request. There is a such thing as getting personal correspondence through state and otherwise attorneys, and it's called an open records request. Well, I was able to get my hands on these text messages through said requests, and we're going to go through those and the reasons why I feel like Kim can't move forward with this, because she took a misstep. She got too ahead of herself. Okay. Someone said, I'm not even a Christian, and I can see that you can't use a religion to justify the actions or forgive him. Exactly. Soul Academy said, I'm tired of the cat. Well, that's too goddamn bad. You're going to have to go somewhere else if you're tired of the cat. The cat is my co-host, and half of the people here like him more than they like me. If you're tired of the cat, you need to find another channel that ain't got no cat. But as far as me and my household, Leo stays. But we gonna keep. Matter of fact, Leo, get down. Get down. It's not, thank you, because it's not a question. You need to go somewhere else if you're tired of the cat. However, okay. Yeah, the attorney got 14 years who represented 6 of R. Kelly's victims. Like I said, this is where these two attorneys, they end up colliding. This is why I feel like she can't move forward, because I'm going to show you these text messages. They had a close relationship. And Kim Foxx, being the Cook County State's attorney, and Michael Avenatti representing 6 of R. Kelly's victims, being in close contact in the text messages being exposed, it shines a light on what could be potential malice in this case. It could have tainted this case. They arranged a meeting, and I'm going to show you the text messages in just a moment. Now, this could very easily taint the case. This is, it's flat out improper conduct from attorneys. If you got the state trying to prosecute a case against someone, and the state's attorney is canoodling, and not in a romantic way, right? But cozying up underneath an attorney of some of the victims, which means they're more than likely potentially sharing information. And the messages, the text messages that I'm going to show you in a second, they heavily imply that they're sharing information in order to work a potential a backdoor deal. A backdoor deal pertaining to this case in this situation. And like I said, this is an attorney who has also been charged with embezzlement and extortion. And this was something that R. Kelly's attorneys ended up saying, listen, he's tainting our case. Why are these text messages out here? They're texting one another. He's tainting our case. The state, if the state is going after an individual, think about it. If you've committed a range of heinous crimes and the state is going after you, the state's attorney can't meet up with, isn't supposed to meet up, and it's considered improper conduct, conflict of interest, whatever you want to call it, right? They can't meet up with somebody who's representing the victims, right? If you've got 6 victims, which is a lot, meeting up with the victims, that means the state is not establishing their own case. The state needs to establish their case, and the victims need to establish their own separate case. So the two of them getting it, not to mention, Michael Avenatti doesn't really come across as the most honest guy. Hello, he just got 14 years. Again, like I said, screenshot this if you would like to. Embezzlement, extortion, tax fraud, stealing millions of dollars from his clients, obstruction. There's a lot going on. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and get into, okay? Let's go ahead and get into, if you can't forget, you won't make it through the pearly gates for sure. I'll forget. Here's the thing I want to say about this. Miss New York, you saying, if you can't forgive, you won't make it through the pearly gates for sure. God said he forgives all sins. It's no big eyes and small eyes. Don't understand what you're talking about after the after the comma. However, it's not really any of us in the chat's job to forgive him, because what did he really do to us? It's honestly up to the victims and the people that he negatively impacted. The victims, aka the survivors, his children, his family, the people left with the scrutiny and the smear of what he did. There ain't no. I was on a podcast earlier today, and they was like, if Robert came forward and admitted his wrongdoings, would you forgive him? And I'm like, there's nothing for me to forgive him for. What did he do to me? I'm just covering his situation. What am I forgiving him for? What did Robert do to me? There's nobody in this chat, unless there's a victim in this chat, there's nobody in this chat who really, I forgive him. He didn't do anything to most of us watching this. So there's no room for that. So threatening to say, if you don't forgive him, you ain't gonna make it through the pearly gates. You're going to hell. You know. Let's get into these text messages. Okay. I want to get into these text messages. Like I said, make sure y'all hit thumbs up on this video if you haven't already. Let's go.
Baltimore, I can't see you. Where you at?
Y'all killing me with this. I can't help here.
Robert.
You're killing me, man. This ain't not about music. I'm trying to have a relationship with my kids, and I can't do it. Y'all just don't want to believe the truth. You don't want to believe it.
At this point, we briefly pause the interview to give Kelly a moment.
Man, y'all killing me with this. Y'all killing me with this. Y'all killing me with this. Y'all killing me. Y'all trying to kill me. Y'all killing me with this. Y'all killing me with this. Y'all killing me with this. Y'all killing me with killing me, man. Trying to kill me. Killing me, man. Trying to kill me. Y'all want to believe it. Trying to kill me. Killing me, man. Trying to kill me.
I hope this camera keep going.
Stupid R. Kelly. Fight for my life. Stupid R. Kelly. Do it. Stupid R. Kelly. Fight for my life. Stupid R. Kelly. Do it.
All right, let's get into these text messages. And this is where I feel it comes into play. The fact that Kim is not able to follow through with these charges, because why was she talking to this attorney? Why were they trying to meet up? Why were they trying to discuss this legal situation? And she wasn't trying to build her own case independent of the 6 victims' attorneys' account, evidence, information, whatever he had that he was trying to share with her. I feel like that's where she went wrong. And when we tap into the press conference, I think that you all will be able to see some of her demeanor. She didn't want to come out and say what she said today in the press conference. She seemed pretty down. She seemed pretty beat down. She seemed pretty embarrassed to me. Some people said, oh, she seems exhausted. No, she's embarrassed. She's pretty embarrassed, in my opinion. But let's read these text messages. These are text messages, okay? And this is fair use. That were, again, these are text messages that came out through the open records request you're able to get. And that's how I'm able to get my hands on these, okay? Of her speaking with Michael Avenatti, who was now serving a 14-year sentence for embezzlement, tax fraud, and everything else, right? Stealing money from his clients and all that other stuff. He says, good morning, Kim. Please see the above. I land at 10:52. Perhaps we can meet at the O Hilton immediately after I land. Alternatively, if there's a location at O'Hare that you have access to, that will work as well. Best, Michael. And so Kim responds and says, good morning, looking to see if we can find a private space at the airport such that you don't have to worry about security. I'll let you know where shortly. They go on and he says, thanks, let me know. She says, an investigator from my office will meet you at your gate and escort you to an office that we secured. He says, excellent. Thanks, Kim. I look forward to it. So I look forward to it. And I thank you for being so accommodating. Now, again, these two definitely, they really shouldn't be meeting up. They really should not be meeting up. Again, you are Cook County's state's attorney. He is representing 6 of the victims. If y'all are swapping evidence, information, whatever, y'all are supposed to be independently building your case. This is improper conduct. It's improper conduct. It's improper. Look it up. And so I feel like this does have something to do with why. And let me just be clear. Kim Foxx was the very first attorney, person, district, whatever, to come out and announce that she was trying to, or that district was trying to press charges against R. Kelly. The very first, straight off the heels of, so she was trying to make a name for herself. In my opinion, she got ahead of herself. In my opinion. But I'll elaborate more upon that when we finish reading these messages. Thank you, Michael. I look forward to meeting you. I hope all is well. I wanted to check in with you. I'm traveling today and tomorrow. I'll let you know tomorrow. He said, I just tried you back. And she says, morning, let me know when we can chat. Or he says, morning, let me know when we can chat today in the retiming. And she says, morning, speaking at a conference this morning in Tampa. I'm so tied up midday. I reach out then preliminarily looking at Friday or Monday. And he says, thanks. Good luck today. Friday may be tough with my schedule, but let me check. Monday is a holiday. Tuesday may be best. And Kim says, thanks. We look forward to Tuesday. I'll be in LA, but the team will be ready. Looking forward to talking later today. Let me bring you another text message. And listen, if you haven't already hit thumbs up, baby, what you waiting for? Don't make me get Baltimore and kick you off my bus. Hit the thumbs up button. I'm giving you the information. I haven't seen nobody else talking about this. I haven't seen nobody else talking about these text messages and why. Because Kim is saying, the federal charges are so heavy that we don't have the money to prosecute Robert. You jumped and you stuck your neck out there first. You felt like you would make a name for yourself and for that department and for that division and that district. You felt like you had the money 4 years ago when you were the first one. Now, all of a sudden, you can't do it. And I'm sorry, I feel like this is why. So make sure you share this video, hit thumbs up, and support the Cash App if you can. Now, so here he is on 221. And you can see the dates in the previous one because we're going in chronological order. I believe they started at 219. Right? They were playing tag. You playing tag with somebody, you trying to meet up, and it's just like difficult. So he says, hi, Kim. Can you give me a call for a brief chat? I want to share something with you. This is what I really don't get. Black thumb only. What the hell is the black thumb only? What's that? That's what I really don't get that. He says, understood. Let me know when I can schedule it. I'll call it for after yours. Have a good night and thanks as always. And here she goes, sending her black thumbs up. Now, mind you, Kim is black, right? But the black thumbs only, it seems like a code word, right? Because when she says black thumbs only, he says understood. Like they done had some conversations about black thumb, like Operation Black Thumb. I don't know. My press conference is at 2, she says. He says, well, congrats, Kim. You and your staff have been excellent to work with, and we'll continue to do whatever we can to assist. And then he says, hi there. I now represent blank. They're concerned about R. Kelly, and we don't see what else is there. So that's interesting. R. Kelly HR. R. Kelly harming. That's what that says. HARMING. R. Kelly harming. Okay, I see. So he had another client, and that was a conflict of interest. See, because I can read what the top of those letters are saying. So this is some of the correspondence that not only makes Michael Avenatti, who was serving 14 years, look fishy, it makes Kim look pretty fishy as well. Does it not? Because why are you spending all this time? And I do believe that this is why she's not able to move forward and press these charges. She thought she could do it 4 years ago in 2019 off of the heels of surviving R. Kelly. So Why all of a sudden they don't have the money when they knew what the cost was going to be in the beginning? I believe she's been caught red-handed. This is also called improper conduct. These messages heavily suggest, these messages heavily implicate that there was a potential backdoor deal that transpired between the two of them with exchanging evidence, which would mean that the state is not independently building their own case. They're using somebody who was not an entity of the state. He's an independent attorney. That's what it's given. So back to Kim Foxx. She's been speaking with Robert's attorney because I want to let you know how long this has been in the works. Okay. So she has been speaking with Robert's attorney, Jennifer Bone-Jean, for weeks, okay, behind the scenes in order to arrange the drop or the dismissal of charges with Robert's state case. That's the bottom line. Okay. The dismissal of the charges. Now, Kim states that because the federal charges are so heavy and they came with extreme sentences, she feels like he's going to serve 10 to 90 years. He's already been sentenced to 30, although albeit concurrently. She feels like there is another sentencing. And this is where I really want to clear something up. I really want to clear something up. The fans think he gonna get out. They think, oh, he about to be free. They dropping charges, baby. To keep it a buck with you, the New York charges were federal, 30 years. The most recent Chicago trial that he encountered was also federal. So these are state charges that are dropping, not federal charges that are dropping, if that makes sense. So he's already been sentenced to 30. Now, while he may not spend that 30 years because he's got a concurrent and not a consecutive sentence, we still have to factor on the fact that he's going to be sentenced for his Chicago federal trial on February the 23rd. So you got federal level sentences in court cases, and you've got state and court cases. So the Chicago, Illinois state case charges have been dropped, but the federal charges still stand, and he's set to be sentenced on February the 23rd. So according to Kim Foxx, she's saying, listen, he finna spend 10 to 90 years behind bars. She states that because the federal charges are so heavy and they came with extreme sentences, our office simply can't afford to, quote unquote, waste resources on proceeding with the charges, right? However, she was asked a question, a very valid question, because sometimes it's standard in the decision to pull back and decide to not move forward for financial reasons when it comes to legal offices and high-profile cases and situations like that they fill out and they submit a monetary cost-benefit analysis in said decision to pull back. And the monetary cost benefit analysis, it lets them know how much money they would be losing if they pursued said situation, or how much money they would be saving if they pursued said situation. And so they decided not to do this. And when they were asked by the media if they had a monetary cost benefit analysis, like, okay, well, how much money is your office going to be losing if you do it? If you feel like your office is going to be losing such a great amount of money, you would have filled out a monetary cost benefit analysis. They did not. And when she was asked, she confirmed that, Kim Foxx. Okay. So that's that. So there's a lot to this situation. Is he going to be freed? He still has 2 federal sentences. He's about to be sentenced again in literally 24 days. He still faces a solicitation case in the state court of Minnesota. That's still pending. Okay. He's still slated to be sentenced on February the 23rd. I have several questions to ask. I do have several questions to ask. And I do see your super chats in the chat, and I will get to those in just a moment. What I'm going to ask y'all to do is hit thumbs up on the video. We'll come back. And look, if some of y'all want to call in, listen, you don't have to, whether you're an R. Kelly fan or not, that's okay. I'm considering opening the phone lines. I want to gauge really quickly if you all want to call in or not, to let you all call in. So let me know. Put a 4 in the chat if you want to call in. Put a 5 in the chat if you feel like, Jane, don't open the phone lines. Jane, don't open the phone lines. Put a 4 in the chat if you want to call in, and or if you think I should open the phone lines, and put a 5 in the chat if you feel like, Jane, don't open them damn phone lines. Because I do have some questions. I do have some final thoughts. I do have some final analysis and a few different additional facts that I do want to present you all with. Okay. So hit thumbs up if you haven't already. Especially make sure you subscribe to the channel, because you always going to get the latest and the greatest Black news and celebrity updates over here with your girl, thePLAINESTjane. I'm always spilling syrup in the form of Black news and celebrity entertainment. We're going to be right back. 4 if you want to call in, or if I should open the phone lines. 5 if you feel like, Jane, don't do it. Don't open them phone lines. We'll be right back. Now let's spend a little. We can be pro-Black and everything, but I didn't mean to click that. Get into this Black-owned business, Stickies. It's got things for inside your home, outside your home, and even on the go. JasmineMadeIt.com is your new destination for Black Girl Magic mugs, tumblers, and even wine glasses. You can even customize the tumblers and wine glasses. There's a lot going on for a low price over at JasmineMadeIt.com. And if you've been serious about wanting to support more Black-owned businesses, here's your chance. Let JasmineMadeIt.com handle all your problems for family and friends. You ever had a friend over and they just wasn't catching the hint or paying the rent?
Our asses all get to stepping.
Yeah, tell them to get to stepping with this nostalgic Martin-themed doormat, and shop over a dozen different doormat designs over on JasmineMadeIt.com. All right, Stickies, you know what time it is. It's time to put your money where your mouth is and shop Black today. Make life easier for you and your household by taking your family's hot or cold beverages on the go with one of these unique tumblers. It's insulated to keep your beverage at temperature, and it comes with a few different reusable straws and even the specific brush that you need to wash it, so you can keep it sanitized and germ-free. They've got all kinds of designs to match your mood or style. So grab something for your wife, the hubby, or even the kids over on JasmineMadeIt.com. That's JasmineMadeIt.com, and I'll see you over there. All right, and we are back. Okay, we are back. I see most people feel like, girl, don't open the phone line. But I'm like, look, if somebody gonna click that link, we'll entertain it for the meanwhile. We will entertain it for the meanwhile. Wait, what's going on with that? Okay. So I'll give my final thoughts. Okay. I will give my final thought. Matter of fact, hold on. We need to watch this.
We are following breaking news in the criminal court cases against embattled singer R. Kelly.
Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx plans to drop local indictments against him following 2 federal convictions. Dane Blacko just left a news conference with the state's attorney. Dane, why is this dismissal coming now?
Yeah, well, rumors, as you know, had been swirling for weeks that Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx would be dropping charges against R. Kelly. And just moments ago, she announced that, in fact, that will happen tomorrow in a Cook County courtroom. 4 years ago, you may recall, Foxx announced multiple charges of child pornography against Kelly for having sex with underage girls and in some cases videotaping it. But in the interim, Kelly's been convicted of similar charges in federal trials in both New York and here in Chicago. He's already serving a 30-year federal prison term in that New York case. He's scheduled to be sentenced for the Chicago convictions next month. Kelly's lawyers have questioned whether it would be proper for Foxx to pursue state convictions based on the same cases and same evidence that have already resulted in convictions at the federal level. And some legal experts have said it could complicate what's already been achieved by prosecutors at the federal level. So moments ago, State's Attorney Foxx talked about what led her to her decision to drop those charges.
Due to the extensive sentences that these convictions hold, our office has decided not to continue to expend our limited resources and court time with the indictments that we previously charged Mr. Kelly. I want to first and foremost thank the survivors that came forward and shared their stories.
And in fact, Foxx says that they did talk to the survivors, the victims in this particular case, before they made that decision, or at least announced the decision. She said that the reactions varied. One of the victims, she said, was very disappointed. The others, though, understood why they were doing it, the cost and length of the time of the trial. And in fact, some of the women did not want to have to testify again. Right now, R. Kelly remains here in Chicago at the Metropolitan Correctional Center, the federal lockup downtown. It's unclear whether he'll go back to New York now to serve his prison term. Live in the Loop, Dane Placco, Fox 32 Chicago.
Rolex on your wrist, plain Jane.
All right, so this is a portion of the press conference, right? And like I said, I see that a lot of people think that he's getting out, but you guys, he's not. He's not getting out. He's still got two federal. This is just a state case, right? So think about getting filet mignon and think about the steak at the dollar store. So the steak at the dollar store case was dropped, but the filet mignon still stands. You got the New York filet mignon and you got the Chicago filet mignon, but we got a Chicago dollar store steak that has been dropped. Now, Robert does have he still stands for a solicitation case in Minnesota. That's still pending. Now, I had the liberty of having a conversation with Mr. Dennis Byron earlier today, and that's a beautiful thing about the dynamic between myself and Dennis Byron. And some people caught that interview and some people didn't on Instagram. Okay. And Dennis feels like it's going to help Robert with his appeal because he leads towards supporting R. Kelly. He feels like it's going to help Robert with his appeal. He also feels like it's going to help Minnesota to throw out his case because the Minnesota trial is still coming up for solicitation. I don't think that it's going to help with Robert's appeal on a federal level. This state case being thrown out, and especially if and when the feds understand why this case was thrown out, I don't think it's going to help. And if I can put two and two together and piece together why this case was paper thin, thrown out, why Kim Foxx can't pursue this case, again, I showed you the text messages. If I can pull something like that up, don't think that the feds can't. I don't think that this is going to encourage the feds to not do anything. Her excuse to CYA, aka cover her ass, is, oh, our office doesn't want to spend the money or the resources on covering the case or following through with the case, rather, that already is giving a man 30 plus 10 to 90 years. That's the excuse she's given, and it's cute for people who don't really understand the back end. But I just showed you the text messages. An attorney shouldn't be talking like that. She had no business talking to Michael Avenatti. She had no business talking to him, and it makes her look bad. And taking something like that to court after text messages like that have been exposed, and the case has been legitimately tainted, because her and the attorney of the 6 victims have been talking, it's not a good look, and it's not going to hold up, and it's going to be easy to throw something like that out, and it's not going to be good for her name. And so this is why this is my final thought. Oh, yes, he is. Mm-hmm. And so these are some of my thoughts. Okay. And I want, some of my final thoughts and unanswered questions, and I would like to know you all's as I give you all mine. Do y'all think this is going to help his appeal? I don't, but let me know your thoughts down below. Do you think they're going to throw out the Minnesota case? I don't, but let me know down below. Dennis does think, based off of my conversation with him earlier, and this was a live conversation, so this isn't me leaking information or private correspondence that we had. He said that he thought Dennis thinks that they're going to throw out the Minnesota case. Will R. Kelly walk free? I really don't think so. But his fans, they get one little half a piece of ounce of news that they feel like is in their favor, and they flip it and they turn it and reverse it. Show you how to work it. And they turn it into something totally different. I don't think that he's going to walk free. He's still been sentenced federally in New York. In about 3 weeks or 23 days, he'll be sentenced in another federal situation. It's being said now that, and I'm not sure if this is true. I'm very leery about it because the person delivering the information is claiming to be his cousin. And R. Kelly has came out and said, that is not my cousin, but I've known him for a long time and he's done a lot of stuff for me. They're saying that R. Kelly is asking for money for his fiance's rent. His fiance would be Joycelyn Savage. I don't know. It's not proven. I'm still trying to sort through the details. All they giving is a cash app. It's weird. It's weird. It's weird. It's weird. So I'm not sure if that's true. But listen, here's what I would. Yes, you're right. Yes. So here are my final thoughts. Okay. And I'm sorry, I forgot to get to the damn cash apps. Kim thought she was shooting fish in the barrel, but she was shooting herself in the foot. Thank you for your due diligence and work. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. There was another cash app that I had. Okay, here it is. Good. Hi, Jane. Facts. Everyone is okay with an offender going free because he can sing. No wonder. You're right. No wonder the community isn't shameful. That's the truth. Because a lot of times it's like, if he can sing, if they provided music, it's just like, okay, well, I mean, they be making all types of excuses and it's not okay. Right? But, okay, how is this affecting R. Kelly's long-term career and success? Well, there is no long-term career. There is no success. R. Kelly has successfully ruined his own legacy. Nobody else did it to him. He did it to himself. He did it to himself. So when I ask y'all in the comments, will R. Kelly walk free? What do you think? Will they throw out the Minnesota case? What do you think? Do you think them dropping the charges in Chicago, Illinois will encourage Minnesota to do the same thing? Will this help with R. Kelly's appeal of the Chicago and or New York trial? Look, and thank y'all for hitting thumbs up. If you haven't already, hit the thumbs up on the on the video. It's free. How does this affect R. Kelly's long-term success? Here's my thoughts. He literally ruined his legacy because, again, I was on the podcast earlier today and it was very impromptu. I was just in the comments and they were like, oh, Jane about to come up here and eat us up because they were saying R. Kelly made good timeless music. Oh, Jane about to come up here and tear us up. I'm like, no, I'm not. The truth is, Robert made a lot of really good timeless music. He ruined himself. And when we talk about R&B and timeless music, I honestly, I for the life of me, in his time period, I can't name anybody else that would beat Robert in a versus battle. I can admit that. I can admit that Robert was so amazing. That Robert was so, and maybe still is that talented, that his music was just that bomb. It is. It was. Was, whatever you want to call it. Robert, I mean, he flushed his own stuff down the toilet. The media didn't have to work to do that. He did this stuff over the span. When he beat that case in 2002 and continued to do the same things over and over again, he did it to himself. He did it to himself. And that's the bottom line. And that's his fault. I'm not about to sit here and try and rectify his music credibility. I'm not about to sit here and cap for him. First of all, I've never capped for Robert. But I'm not about to sit up here and lie and say his music was never great. Because that'd be a lie. His music has been amazing. I just don't listen to it anymore. And I haven't listened to it anymore for the longest periods of time. However, outside of, because can somebody name me? I see a couple no's in the chat. That's cool. Name me somebody who's more talented R&B wise than Robert. And somebody who was around about his era. Name me somebody who Robert could have went up against in a versus, and they would have really had a chance, or they were better than him. Because I can admit that his music was fucking impeccable. I was like, what, beginner middle school or something when Trapped in the Closet came out. I had no clue what Robert was about or anything like that, but it was the first time that a concept like that had been, period. They call it a hip opera. So I can sit here and I can praise his talent while also saying I don't listen to it anymore because he ruined it. He ruined it for himself. They said the only person that comes close is Usher. I agree. Usher comes close, but I don't feel like Usher tops it. If I had to say who's more talented, Usher or Robert, I'm so sorry, I would have to say Robert. But I haven't listened to Robert in the last, 10 years. I can't listen to him because I know what he's done, and I have my moral compass is calibrated a certain type of way. So yes, Usher comes close. Yes, he does. But I don't feel like he tops Robert when it comes to timeless R&B, And that's me being honest. And look, it might be an unpopular opinion. A lot of y'all know how I feel about Robert. But I gotta keep it a buck. What Jaguar Rice say? I gotta keep it a bean. I gotta keep it a stack. I'm just saying. Jamie Foxx not even in. Jamie Foxx pop in and out of the music industry when he feel like it. Don't get me wrong, Jamie is talented. Don't get me started. But he's not diligently and consistently in the music community to be held up to. We can count Jamie Foxx song on two hands. We can't count Usher or R. Kelly's catalog on our hands and toes. So, nonetheless, here's my thing. Okay, they said, come on, Jane, saying, I ain't about to sing. Y'all ain't about to get me. Do you have your Do you have your passport? Did you get your shots? Girl, would you like to come back with Rob to America? Bye. America. All right. All right, I'm done. So some of my final and lasting thought points. I do feel like Robert ruined his legacy. Okay. Kim Foxx definitely got ahead of herself. She popped out. She wanted to be the first prosecutor, the first state, the first city, the first everything to come out against Robert, right? Because she wanted to make a name for herself. And that's why I feel like today she was eating crow. She was eating crow. Right off of the heels of surviving R. Kelly, February 2019. That's when she announced she was fin to press charges. However, like I said, Robert still has the federal New York as well as the federal Illinois charges that I do believe that they're going to stick. I do. America. See, I had another video I was about to show y'all. Now y'all got me about to pull up Robert and his America situation. Let's go ahead and get into that. Do you have your pad? Did you get your shots? Y'all need to know. Y'all need to know. I can't hog tie nobody.
Oh my God.
Can't hog tie nobody. All right, we're going to go to the passports in the shop.
Rolex on your wrist, a plain Jane.
You're tuned in to Jane, the plainest Jane. Be sure to thumbs up the video and subscribe, and let's get into it. Okay, let's see. We got it. Okay, let's see. Let's make sure we got what we need to do. So we can have a little bit of a good time on here. I wanted to watch the press conference, even though the press conference is 20 minutes of this woman looking very embarrassed. I probably will just link it down below. All right, y'all. We about to get into. Is y'all ready getting y'all bag of having a little sense of humor? Because we can talk about Robert and still laugh a little. Some people think we're not allowed, but I'm allowed. I'm allowed to have some fun while I talk about Robert. Do you hear what I'm saying? And that's what I'm going to do. Shit. Let's get it.
Let's settle down for a second so I can talk to y'all for a second.
Oh wait, I got the speed. Hold on.
Not a problem. The day before I got on the plane to come out here, me and my girl broke up.
Who was it? Joycelyn or what? He out here telling stories. I can't believe him. Oh wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. Y'all ready? Hit thumbs up if you haven't already, child.
And it was over something really, really silly. Something we shouldn't have broken up over. But it is. It is what it is. We broke up, and here I am. In Ethiopia tonight. Question.
He out of pocket. I really shouldn't be. It's
single.
Nah, hold up. It's too. I just want the 1 minute clip.
Looking for somebody else right now.
I don't want to be grooving. I don't want to be grooving to this whole song, baby. I just need to. All right, this because the whole song make it seem like I'm really fucking with what he got going on with his life, and I'm not fucking with that. Hold on.
I got it.
Do you have your passport?
Did you get your shots? Girl, would you like to come back with Rob to America?
America.
Do you have your passport? Did you get your shots?
Hey.
Girl, would you like to come back with Rob
What?
to America? America. America. Beautiful.
You have your passport.
Did you get your shots? Who would come back with Rob to America?
Y'all see the way he be out here recruiting through his music, plain as day? Plain as day. I know y'all watching the PLAINESTjane, but he be out here recruiting to his music, plain as that. Do you have your passport? Did you get your shot? Who wanna come back with Rob to America? A hot mess. Anyway, outside of him recruiting over there in Indonesia, like he always do, he recruit I wouldn't expect anyway he visit that he wouldn't be recruiting. That cracks us up every time. Me and the stickies, you know what I'm saying? We be over here laughing and joking. Okay? Because how dare you be that bold? How dare you be that bold? A hot mess. I opened the phone lines. Nobody called in, but honestly, it's a good thing because everybody voted against the phone lines being open and people calling in. And honestly, I'm trying to get better with cutting some of y'all off when y'all call in. Some of y'all call in and y'all be having some of everything to say, and it be too long, and it really just don't be the best. So I want to get used to having you all call in, but I don't want to have it mess up the show. So understand that I'm going to continue to open the phone lines, but I'm going to be cutting some of y'all off when y'all call in because I need everybody to keep it to a 2, 3, 4 minute maximum limit, and we're going to move on to our next person because I do want y'all input, but the show can't just pivot and become about whatever the hell it is that y'all want to speak about. You know what I mean? So that's part of what is going on as we continue to grow the show, expand the show, allow people to be a part of the experience of the show. And here's what I'll do last but not least. We are going to go ahead and take a look at the press conference, and then we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Okay. The press conference is going to help you all understand more of why I feel like she's embarrassed. Kim Foxx being the first one to speak out. We're going to press charges against Robert. Okay. 2019 still ain't been done. Still ain't going through. Either she felt like she was going to make a name for herself, or her office couldn't afford it, or it was exposed that her and Michael Avenatti had an inappropriate relationship. Okay. So we're going to get into some of those things.
These indictments. Back in 2019, I stood in this very room and asked for anyone who was a victim or witness to crimes allegedly perpetrated by Mr. Kelly to come forward. Since that time, we'd set up a hotline to allow for victims and witnesses, both locally and nationally, to contact our office with any information that they received. In the course of the several weeks after that plea for survivors to come forward, we received hundreds of tips and pieces of evidence that spread far and wide throughout the country. My team of assistant state's attorneys and victim witness who are here today, and I will introduce them momentarily, worked tirelessly to run down the accusations that were being made, to determine whether the information was being provided was credible. In the course of that time, we received evidence, physical evidence, including a tape of child pornography involving Mr. Kelly that was subsequently used in his trial, federal trial here in Chicago.
I hope y'all can so understand this. It might be too fast. Let me go ahead and slow it down.
Our victim witness staff and assistant state's attorneys traveled throughout the United States, meeting with survivors in their homes and talking with them, many of whom had lost faith in the criminal legal system, that their stories would be heard. As a result of that, we filed our charges on February 22nd, 2019. And subsequently, charges were filed in the Eastern District of New York in federal court, as well as the Northern District of Illinois. Since that time, Mr. Kelly was convicted in 2021 of 9 counts of racketeering predicated on criminal conduct, including the sexual exploitation of children, forced labor, and violations involving the coercion and transportation of women and girls in interstate commerce to engage in illegal sexual activity by a federal grand jury in Brooklyn, New York. That court sentenced Mr. Kelly to 30 years in prison on June 29th, 2022. As you all are aware, here in Illinois, the Illinois federal court in September of 2022, the jury found Mr. Kelly guilty on 3 counts of child pornography and 3 counts of child enticement. Sentencing has not yet been rendered in that case. However, Mr. Kelly faces a minimum of 10 to 90 years in prison in the Illinois federal court. I want to reiterate our office's support of the investigations that led to the charges and convictions, both in the Eastern District of New York and the Northern District of Illinois. It is to that end that due to the extensive sentences that these convictions hold, our office has decided not to continue to expend our limited resources and court time with the indictments that we previously charged Mr. Kelly. I want to first and foremost thank the survivors that came forward and shared their stories. I know firsthand how difficult it is for you to tell your stories. 4 years ago, I stood at this podium and shared my story of having been a survivor and my full understanding of what it means to have to go before strangers to discuss what is arguably one of the most horrific experiences one could have. And these women, all of them Black, came forward believing that they would be heard. As a survivor, I know that the courage that it took for them to come forward, and I know that for those who were seeking to have their day in court here in Illinois, that today's announcement may be disappointing. But I want to acknowledge that when we brought these charges forward, we brought them because we believe the allegations to be credible, and we believe that they deserve to have the opportunity to have the allegations heard. These women, both those who are named in our indictments and the women in New York.
Thank you. She does look very embarrassed. You know why she looks embarrassed? Because she's eating crow. She was the first to stick her neck out to say, we're going to pin R. Kelly, even though this is a state level and not a federal level. We're going to be the first one. She was the first one to speak out. But she has to take it all back and say, you know what? We're not going to move forward with these charges. And that's wild. It's odd. It's strange. Why would you drop charges out of nowhere? And she wanted to make a name for herself. She wanted to make a name for herself. And that's why she spoke out and said, you know what? We are going to prosecute him to the fullest extent of the law. She knew her budget at that time. The budget couldn't have possibly changed that much. She is embarrassed because she's eating crow and she realizes she cannot continue with charging Robert. You know why? Because of those text messages that I showed you earlier in the broadcast. That's why she can't continue with said charges.
In the Northern District of Illinois are to be commended for their bravery and their relentless pursuit of justice, no matter how long it took. I also want to point out that the women who stand with me today, Tanae McCoy Cummings, Stephanie Coelho, Jackie Griffin, Ann McCourt Rogers, and Krista Peterson, who is not with us, work in our sexual assault and domestic violence division. Every day, these women come in contact with survivors and victims of sexual abuse and sexual assault whose cases don't make the headlines. Their abusers or those for whom they accuse are not Grammy Award-winning artists. Sometimes they're teachers, deacons, folks that they know from the neighborhood. And the attention that this case garnered, the reason that it was so significant for this office is not simply because Mr. Kelly was a man of celebrity, but because of the victims and survivors that we see each and every day in this office, many of whom are people of color, particularly Black and Latino women who do not believe that the justice system, even as victims, sees them. This office sees them. And I wanted to make sure that the announcement today and the fact that we are no longer going to continue to pursue these cases is not an indication that we don't see them. Every day, the relentless work of the people of the Cook County State's Attorney's Office and our Sexual Assault and Domestic Violence Unit sees and hears these survivors and actively work on their behalf to bring them justice. We believe in a victim-centered approach where we recognize the needs of our survivors and recognize that sometimes justice is served even when there is no conviction. I want to personally thank my team for their efforts throughout the past 4 years, for their collaboration with our colleagues throughout the country, and for their tireless pursuit of justice on behalf of survivors of sexual assault. With that, I'll take your questions.
State's Attorney, do you think this sends the right message in a case like this?
Mr. Kelly is potentially looking at the possibility of never walking out of prison again for the crimes that he has committed. This office, in the pursuit of justice for the victims in our indictment, as well as those across the country, worked tirelessly to get us to this point. While today's cases are no longer being pursued, we believe that justice has been served in the sentences that have already been handed down to Mr. Kelly, as well as a sentence that will come down next month. The message that we are sending, and I want to be unequivocally clear, is that we take allegations of sexual abuse and sexual assault seriously. We will work tirelessly to bring justice, and we believe that in this case, justice has been served.
Can you talk a little bit about the resources and the decision, how you weigh that decision?
Certainly. As I indicated, back in 2019, we pulled together a hotline to allow for us to take calls from across the country for those who were making allegations or said that they'd witnessed behaviors of Mr. Kelly. That phone line alone required the resources of our assistant state's attorneys, victim witness staff, and administrators to go through those calls to be able to validate the calls that were being made. Additionally, as I said, we had assistant state's attorneys and victim witness staff travel to places like New York, to Atlanta, Minnesota, to meet with victims and to meet with our colleagues. Additionally, preparing for our indictments and sitting again with our victims and their families to go over the evidence that we had. And over the course of the trials that were happening both in New York and Chicago, our assistant state's attorneys were working in tandem. And so it took a tremendous amount of resources over the course of the last 4 years. And we believe that those were resources well spent. But as I said earlier, we have a significant number of cases and survivors who are equally in need of the resources that have been expended for Mr. Kelly's cases.
Can you expand a little bit for the timing of this announcement and why not wait until next month's sentencing hearing?
Certainly. We have been following along with this case or the cases since the inception. We have, after Mr. Kelly was found guilty in the Northern District, been talking as a team about how we would move forward with our state charges. We also wanted to have an opportunity to talk to the victims who are in our indictments about the possibility of moving forward. Again, we wanted to take a victim-centered approach and put the needs of our victims at the forefront. And so while we recognize that there is a court date next month, we do know that there's already a sentence in play of 30 years. We did not believe that it would be in the interest of justice, in the interest of our survivors, and the use of our resources to continue to allow for the sentencing here in Chicago to take place before ultimately making the decision. This decision was made in consultation with our survivors named in the indictment.
Are you able to share any of their reactions without giving, obviously, the information of the conversation, but just these victims who, as you mentioned, so courageously came forward, were willing to tell their story, did tell their story to secure charges, that this case wouldn't be going forward and ultimately wouldn't be getting justice?
Certainly. I would say that there was no consistency in reaction. We do have a survivor who is disappointed that she would not have her day in court. Some of our survivors, some of those who have been named in our petitions, have had justice in courtrooms that were not here in the Cook County State House. And for them, the process and going through this process was very difficult, and they are pleased with the outcome related to the sentence and the judgment against Mr. Kelly. But for those who did not have an opportunity to put their hand on the Bible, or who have felt for the last 20 years that their pain was not recognized, certainly this is a disappointing day for them.
Did you have a chance to look up what the cost would be for prosecution of this scale?
We didn't do a cost, monetary cost benefit analysis, Charlie. We simply looked at the fact that the likelihood of Mr. Kelly being released from prison anytime in the near future, and having been held accountable for his actions, and the use of our limited resources would require that we put those resources in advocacy for other survivors of sexual abuse and assault. Anyone else? I believe there's a state case out of Minnesota that is still pending.
With this case, it's drawn more resources and taking more time than a typical prosecution. Is it you justify spending all these resources on one individual when you have all these other people out there also consider it?
Yeah. I'm pausing because it's not about money.
Time.
Or time. The allegations that were made against Mr. Kelly and the things for which he was accused of having done. As a survivor, I can tell you there is not a dollar amount or an amount of time that I would want for someone to bring justice for me. The reality of the situation was, in looking at the cases as they have proceeded through the courts for the last 4 years, and the impact that that may have evidentiary on our cases as well, the fact that some of our survivors have been in other cases as well, and that Mr. Kelly is looking at significant jail time, we believe that justice and accountability has been served. As it relates to the one case or with the survivor who is disappointed by today's actions is in no way to signify that we did not find her allegations to be credible. It is why we brought them. It is in no way to signify that our actions today mean that her pain and her case was no less significant than the others. It is simply to say that Mr. Kelly is looking at significant jail time and that there are survivors, hundreds of survivors, whose files remain on our desks, and they require the dedication and commitment of these assistant state's attorneys, victim witness staff that stand with me and in our offices today. That was the calculation that we made.
Were plea negotiations ever a realistic prospect in these cases?
You know, these cases took off rather quickly. We charged Mr. Kelly back in February of 2022. We were aware of the potential for charges coming out of the federal courts in New York. We also were aware of the potential for charges in federal court here involving the child pornography that was tendered to our office and submitted to the Northern District. And so the possibility of negotiating a plea, while we were fully aware that there were active investigations both locally and nationally, were not realistic in this case.
Are you confident that had your office chosen to take these cases to trial, you would have been able to secure convictions?
We brought the charges believing that we had sufficient evidence to support findings of guilt in the court of law. That's why we brought them.
Were there any concerns that something might have occurred and going to state trial, so the evidence presented or something that could have stepped on the federal convictions or given rise to a new appeal?
Our concern always was getting justice and accountability for the survivors. And what we knew, given that there were multiple jurisdictions that were looking at Mr. Kelly, we wanted to work collaboratively. This was not a who got there first. Certainly, we worked very hard and very diligently, and everything that we had, we shared. I can't say enough about the collaborative nature that we have with this office with our federal partners in New York and Chicago. We shared our information. And so we were being strategic, understanding that whomever was ready first and the federal charges would go first, and we would let the cases play themselves out and, again, evaluate at the conclusion of those cases how we would proceed forward. But there was never a concern of whether one would jump in or the other. This was a coordinated, collaborative effort from the very beginning.
And just to be extremely clear on the logistics, the intention is to go into tomorrow's court hearing and dismiss the charges?
That is correct. I was in contact with Mr. Kelly's lawyer, Jennifer Bonjean, approximately 2 weeks ago and informed her that we were looking to do this. We wanted to make sure that we spoke one additional time with the victims alleged in our indictments. I told her then our team is aware that we would go into court tomorrow and ask that the charges be dismissed.
How long have conversations been going on?
I just want to say this really quickly. It's not a race of who got there first or who, executed their court proceedings first and things of that nature. But man, you stuck your neck out first and they put out their charges and you took yours back. It's not a good look for you. It's not a good look for your office. It's not a good look for your district. This is why she looks so tired and drained and embarrassed throughout this entire press conference. It's exactly why. Of course, it's not about it's not about who's first, but you make sure you were the first person that stuck your neck out and said, we're going to press charges against R. Kelly, because you felt like you had enough. And the feds take a long time to line up all of their stuff. They take a long time because they want to make sure they got everything. So you being the state, you stepped out and said, I'm going to press charges. You got the feds in New York and the feds in Chicago that beat you to court and had all the evidence. New York had 50 goddamn New York had 50 victims, and they had 400 pieces of evidence, and they beat you to court. They were able to line 50 plus 400 ducks in a row, and you weren't. And then it went to Chicago. 4 years later, you still ain't even anything. So it's definitely about what's first. It's definitely about that. And you weren't able to produce anything, but you wanted to make a name for yourself. You wanted your name, I'm Kim Foxx. You know, I don't know. When I hear Fox, I think about Jamie Foxx and Red Fox. You wanted to make a name for yourself. Say, I'm that prosecutor, so that you can go from state to state, your career. You wanted to be able to go, I am the one who spoke out about pressing charges and holding and R. Kelly being XYZ amount of guilty. I'm the one, you know, he's going to be held accountable for 10 counts of aggravated criminal sexual abuse across 4 victims. I'm going to speak out and I'm going to say this first. You rushed to do that. And either you didn't have it all to prove that via the evidence, or you effed up teaming with Michael Avenatti. And this is why you sit here eating crow, because you sat here and you put your name out and you called out trying to do this first. And now you got to take it back. It sounded all good when you was, we the first state, we the blazes way. Well, it's Chicago. But now that you got to take it back 4 years later and there's been zero progress with your state case, it takes a lot to get a federal case together, especially compared to a state case. And so you sitting here eating crow with your tail tucked behind your legs. You're embarrassed. Because if you truly had the evidence, it's easier for the state to gather evidence, because there's a difference between the levels of a state case versus the federal case. And this is why her being eager to step out and be first hurt the case. It hurt the victims, for sure. This is why she looks so stressed out here. But hey.
A lot have gone into this decision. There's the legal and there's the tears, and there's the frustration. We've been talking all along, certainly, as I said, at the conclusion of the federal trial here in Chicago, we knew that the clock was ticking. We had a judge who certainly has indicated that he wanted the cases to move along. We had a defendant who certainly was entitled to have his day in court. And we had survivors, some waiting as many as 20 years for this day. And so we started talking very early about the sufficiency of the evidence, the information that came out in the other trials, the impact that they would have on our cases should we move forward. I personally spoke to the victims in this case to gauge from them what they wanted to do, took that under consideration and advisement, spoke with our team continually, and reached a decision within the last couple of weeks. And again, wanting to afford our survivors the opportunity to be heard one last time. If nothing, thank you.
Take a couple of other questions.
Sure, Chip, how are you? I'm well, thank you.
To Andy Varga and Andy face any sort of disciplinary investigation or charges administratively now?
We obviously, I can't speak to pending litigation. I recognize that you have been following the case as it makes its way through court, and certainly will not be speaking to human resource related issues at this press conference, nor the substantive nature of the litigation that's going on. The Conviction Integrity Unit continues to operate. We have Iris Verosi, who is our deputy in the unit that continues to work there as well. Yes, Charlie. Yes.
Where is R. Kelly now? Is he still in Chicago?
I believe he's in the federal lockup at the MCC. He is here.
Will he be returned to another jurisdiction? What's his decision?
I couldn't tell you, Charlie. I apologize. Thank you.
Okay, so you were just hearing from Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx, who was just talking about that the state's attorney office has dropped 10 counts of aggravated criminal sexual abuse against singer R. Kelly, citing the R&B star's previous convictions, the high cost of prosecution, and the prosecutor's limited resources. Now, during this news conference, you could hear Foxx explain that her office will no longer pursue those 4 sex abuse indictments against Kelly, who was...
All right. So,
building your online business?
We're not building.
Doing these indictments.
So here we are. Here we are with this situation in which I am here covering R. Kelly and his grievances and something that really may look and seem like a win for him. And I know a lot of his fans feel like this is a win. I know a lot of them feel like this is a win. And, you know, honestly, it's not a lose, but it's not something that is going to get him closer to freedom. It's really not. And I hope the Beehive understands that. If not, they'll just have to wait it out. I gave a lot of the information earlier in this video. Again, 4 years ago, the Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx announced that she would be charging Robert for 10 counts of aggravated criminal sexual abuse across 4 victims. 3 were minors, 1 was a male. These charges are set to be dismissed in court on Tuesday, January 31st. And so in this video, we got into why I think that the charges are being dropped. We got into them text messages, baby, and I think that has a lot to do with it. She stuck her neck out because she was trying to make a great name for herself, but I also think she was trying to make a good name for her district and her office. And it just didn't happen because the text messages that surfaced, they really wasn't on her side. They really weren't on her side. And it shows a great amount of misconduct and a potential the fact that the case might have been tainted because she was in such heavy communication and she met up with Michael Avenatti, which is honestly, it's misconduct when we talk about attorneys working on a certain case or a legal situation. We spoke about who else the state's attorney Kim was oddly connected to, that being Jussie Smollett. We spoke about that. How long has this been in the works? She's been working on this. What an attorney who represented 6 of R. Kelly's other victims had to do with the situation. We touched on that. How this affects R. Kelly's other trials. I don't think it affects the New York trial. I definitely don't feel like it affects the Chicago trial, although he is set to be sentenced for Chicago's federal trial. And again, I just want to clarify for the people who don't quite understand. Some of them hear, all the charges were dropped? Well, shoot, he might be walking out of jail. Listen, these are state charges for Chicago, Illinois, right? But there was still a federal trial in which he was found guilty, in which he'll be sentenced to on February the 23rd. Keep in mind, there was also a federal trial and sentencing in New York, and none of that is unlaced just because state charges, not federal charges, were dropped today. So just want to clear that up for the for the Beehive members and for the people who are really just don't understand what's going on. Legal jargon can be very difficult. I know I got a lot of DMs and messages and emails. Jane, what do this mean? I'm like, I'm going live later today. How does this affect his other trials, though? Some people think that it will help his appeal, right, for the Chicago case and or the New York case if he still wants to appeal that. Some people feel like it's going to assist with the Minnesota trial, and R. Kelly does still have a pending trial in Minnesota for solicitation. And some people feel like this new revelation is going to assist for that trial in Minnesota, since he still does have an upcoming trial. They think it's going to help that trial get dismissed. Like I said, I was speaking to Dennis Byron earlier today. Now, I don't agree with that. I don't think. Now, I also don't think that the trial in Minnesota, I don't think it's a really strong case either. So I got to say that. I don't think that they're going to drop the Minnesota case just because of this, but I also don't feel like Minnesota has the strongest case, if that makes sense. So there are still some things that we need to check out pertaining to Minnesota and R. Kelly's legitimate, never-ending legal saga situation. Do I think R. Kelly will walk free? I gave my opinions and my thoughts on that, but I'm curious to know your opinions. And also, we took a look at the press conference. I sped it up a little bit so that we didn't have to sit there for an entire 20 minutes. But this was a very informative live. I felt the need to break this down for you all. I had been hearing rumors and swirls about this for quite some time. And around 11 o'clock this morning, I saw that there was going to be a press conference where the charges could have been potentially dropped. And when I watched it in its entirety, I felt the need to break it down to you, because some people, they hear all charges dropped and they think, well, they about to unlock the gates and he about to get out. Lies, you know? But listen, it is what it is. I can't believe that it's literally 2:45 over here in Baltimore. It's 325 of you all here with me. I appreciate y'all. Hit the like, hit the thumbs up, hit the like, hit the thumbs up. Otherwise, we can fight. Okay? We can fight. It's really important that you all hit the thumbs up button on this video. It's a free way for you to support the channel and to make sure that I show up in the algorithm. I do think I'll have more R. Kelly content for you all tomorrow. Well, today, Tuesday. When I get off work, I do have some Tyree Nichols information. I just don't have enough time to give it to you all this evening. So if you haven't already taken a moment to hit thumbs up on the video, definitely make sure you do so. I do want to say this really quickly. If you're looking for something that's more upbeat, something more lighthearted, if you're into makeup, for all the makeup girlies, drop a lipstick tube in the chat. Okay. The very first link down below in the chat is to a channel called Deeper Than Skin Deep. The very first link in the description box, if you click it, it's at Deeper Than Skin Deep. You'll see it in blue. Okay. She gives really good reviews, information on high-end makeup and high-end skincare. And I trust her advice. And I trust what she be having going on between Ulta and Sephora and everywhere else. So definitely make sure you check out Deeper Than Skin Deep in the description box below. Like I said, it is the very first link that you'll see down below in the description box. That's my girl. And she's also a fashionista. And I'm talking high-end makeup, high-end fragrances for men and women, high-end skincare, all of that stuff. Okay. She's really good at all of it. So check out Deeper Than Skin Deep and make sure you subscribe to her channel and drop some pancakes if you do, and let her know that your girl Jane sent you. Okay. So we're going to get out of here. I wish I could have went live earlier, but y'all know when I'm talking about anything, but especially when I'm talking about like R. Kelly, I need to make sure that I'm giving y'all the most informative breakdown ever. So I had to do my research and make sure I was presenting this to you the right way. And I didn't see anybody really breaking it down and giving y'all these text messages as to why Kim Foxx is really dismissing this case, what Michael Avenatti's involvement in the dirtying up of this case is. And so I had to let y'all know what this is. So it's kind of late. Yes, it's kind of late. But I had to make sure I came correct. I could have came earlier and I could have been rambling and stammering, but I wanted to give y'all the best of the best rundown. Okay? Okay. I love you all so much. I'm going to catch y'all in the next video. Make sure if you haven't already, check out the community tab. There is a funny throwback picture on the community tab, and I'm really curious to know what you all think about it. I need to go to bed because I got to be to work at 8:30. It's what is it, 3 o'clock in the morning? It's basically 3 o'clock in the morning. So what am I going? I'm only going to get a couple hours of sleep. I got to go to bed. Okay. I got to go to bed. But I'm glad I was able to give y'all the correct information and not just rushing and giving y'all assumptions. Okay. So listen, y'all make sure y'all stay beautiful, black, and blessed until the next video. Be sure to tag me in all your favorite trending topics on Instagram and on Twitter. Although y'all know I'm more active on Twitter than anything, but I do check my Instagram from time to time. Okay. Make sure you do something to relax today. And of course, let me know your thoughts on all the neighborhoods we discussed today, that being all the topics we discussed today, and what you think about Robert. Is it fair that he's not going to be charged in the Chicago state case, although he's still being charged in the Chicago federal case, and he's still being charged in the New York federal case, and he's still facing a Minnesota case? But are they going to drop the Minnesota case? Because that's another state case. And all those other things. Listen, any and all thoughts, I'm curious to know what you think down below. Make sure you subscribe and thumbs up or down. Either way, I appreciate it. And be sure to hit the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of the celebrity or trend syrup, because you know things are always sticky in Hollywood and in real life. Y'all drop some of the pancake emojis down below and stay beautiful, black, and blessed until the next video. Deuces. But that's it. If you want to catch more of my commentary on Black culture or vital and trending information, be sure to subscribe by hitting that little circle in the middle of the screen, or I'll catch you in one of these rectangles to the right in another video. I'll see you there.